Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. It has been a very long time since I've like sat at a desk to film a video, so it's feeling a little bit formal, weird, but today we're talking all about some things that I no longer buy in 2021, a way that I cut down on my savings so that I can afford to live in this glorious London weather that we're experiencing. I love living in London. I've lived in London for the last 4 years, I want to say. I moved up for uni and I've really learned some things with my finances since living here, so I wanted to share them with you today. So these are some things that I am no longer buying in 2021. Okay, so the first one has actually been happening for a while, but it's not buying any new books. If there is a book that I really want and I cannot find it anywhere, I always ask for it as a gift so that I'm not personally spending it. I do love reading. I'm a big reader. I try to read a book a month, which you'll know if you've been stuck around here since New Year's for my resolution videos. So I try and read a book a month. If I can't find it secondhand in a charity shop, I use World of Books, which I really like. They have international, or at least UK, free shipping. Definitely in the UK, I'm not sure if it's international, but definitely in the UK, which I really like because then I can buy like 5 books at once. You can search your book in there. It's really great. This is not sponsored whatsoever, I'm just showing you some saving tips for me. They also have, I think there's like a buy 4 and get 25% off, which is really great. So if you're a big reader, I really find finding books in charity shops really difficult, honestly, just because you never really know if it's going to be organized, and if you don't have like a keen eye for like the spine of the book, it can be quite hard to find. So I always prefer either finding them secondhand online or just making sure all of your family and friends and neighbors, whoever, know that you appreciate a secondhand book. For example, mine, I don't know what I was going to say there. Me and my boyfriend's mum have a bit of a like book club exchange going on, so whenever I read a book that I really like, I give it to her. Whenever she reads a book that she likes or has read and wants to give one to someone else, she gives to me. So I really like having that kind of like community where we can exchange books. I do it with my nan, I do it with my granddad, and it just means I get to save some money on some books. The next one is new clothes. Again, you'll know this if you're an OG, but in 2020 me and my boyfriend made a resolution not to buy any new clothes, like from the shop, online, no new clothes. You could buy like hats and underwear or like hygienic things, but that was kind of it. So since pretty much 2020 I have been thrifting all of my clothes, originally in charity shops, which I really loved, and then obviously lockdown happened, couldn't get myself into a charity shop as much as I wanted to, so switched to Depop and Vinted, which have been so great, and I almost think I prefer them to going into a charity shop now, which is really bad, but it's just so easy. So I've been loving finding bits on there, even if they are new with tags, but most of the time they are secondhand bits. I love special pieces that I wouldn't necessarily find in a charity shop, or would just be very hard to find in a charity shop, I should say. But yeah, I've been really enjoying thrifting my wardrobe. It's definitely a lot cheaper, and I think I do shop less or like buy less when shopping secondhand online, just because when I'm in a store I'm quite the spontaneous purchaser, impulse buyer shall we say, and I can get very distracted by like some cute scrunchies or some earrings or a pair of shoes, whereas if I'm scrolling on Depop for like vintage t-shirts, it's very unlikely that I'm going to get distracted by something else in another aisle. So that's also a huge tip, and I found that the main thing that kept me going to do that, like so I didn't break the rules and buy something new, was I just didn't step foot in a clothing shop, and if I did, I had like my blinders on going straight to like the men's section if I was buying a gift or whatever it may be. Like I was not looking for me, so that really helped, because I feel like if I wasn't around it I couldn't be tempted. So definitely a tip if you're hoping to like reduce some of your shopping habits. The next one is makeup wipes. I used makeup wipes every day since I was about 12, honestly, for a very long time. I was a big fan, and since then I have found the luxury of having reusable pads, or even like cotton pads if you can't get your hands on some reusable pads, and then just using the like micellar water, whatever product you prefer in terms of like makeup remover. I don't know, I'm pretty sure it works out cheaper than wipes, because wipes I went through very quickly, especially if I had like the full face on. I would need like a lot of wipes, whereas if I have the reusable pads I can just use the product, and it's only the product that I'm having to rebuy like once every few months. I want to say I do tend to stretch out because I do have a lot of like makeup free days as well, so that has definitely been somewhere where like you wouldn't necessarily think you could save some money, but even if it is like £1 here or there or £2 here and there, it does add up over the years, especially when living in London. You've got those London prices tacked on there, so something to consider. The next thing I'm going to say is a bit hypocritical. I think I'm using that word correctly, but I no longer buy cheap underwear, which I know means that I'm spending more on my underwear, but I'm not, and I'm going to explain why. So basically, I would always buy my underwear from Primark, still do sometimes, not gonna lie, but I would have like hundreds of bits of underwear from Primark that would just like get a hole in or get ruined, or the thread would come loose or something would go wrong, and I was just having such a high turnover of underwear. And not to mention, it wasn't necessarily like the comfiest or the prettiest underwear ever. It was just kind of like a means to an end, because I was like, oh, I can get 5 pairs of underwear for £5, I'm definitely going to do that. Whereas now I shop a bit more I shop smarter, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And I will go on like Victoria's Secret or Boo Avenue or H&M, like wherever you prefer to get your underwear from, and I shop on the sales only. That does mean sometimes I don't always get a matching set in terms of like bra and underwear, but I'm kind of fine with that. I'm kind of over that whole thing. Some of them match, I can have a colour match at most. Sometimes I don't even wear a bra, if we're being honest, like, so it's fine. But it means I get really cheap underwear for a lot better quality, but for like a tiny bit more expensive. And obviously if there's one that I really like and I want to treat myself, I don't necessarily have to shop the sale section, but I just find that I'm shopping a lot less for underwear than I used to, maybe spending a little bit more, but in the long run saving a hell of a lot more. Entertainment subscriptions, and I'm talking about like Netflix, Spotify, YouTube Music, Amazon, whatever it may be. I still have all of those things, and I'm not sure if this is really like a good thing to be promoting, but if you can get someone else to pay those subscriptions for you, or you can like borrow someone's password or something, it's a really great way to end up saving a lot of money, because I'm sure all of those subscriptions added up would be like, what, 20 something pounds a month, perhaps, maybe, depending on how many you had. I use like my sister's Disney Plus, I use my boyfriend's Amazon, and his YouTube Music, I think I use his Amazon. Really sponging off whoever I can here, but whether it be your mum, your neighbour, a friend from uni, I used my friend's like unlimited Pretty Little Thing delivery thing she had going back in uni, back a few years ago, before the no new clothes rule. But I use that, like whoever you can make friends with who is willing and generous enough to give you the password for their subscription, make the most of it, because then you get all of the benefits with none of the cost, which we all love and comes in very handy for a lot of different reasons. The next one is small home decor. Now if you've been around here for a little while, you'll know that we recently moved house, so I have bought some home decor, but it doesn't happen very often, and I feel like I'm at the stage now where I kind of have everything I need. If there are like little things like this, like little dainty things I want to plop about my house, I will try and thrift them, or see if I have stuff in another room which I can switch out so that I'm not constantly buying new things, because I do find a lot of things can be quite expensive depending obviously on where you shop. But in terms of like homeware in H&M or Zara, like it can add up very quickly. So I think if you can get to a good point where you've been thrifting for a while, or you've been like borrowing things from your parents' house, or someone's having clean out and you can borrow or take some of their things and take it off their hands, and you can build that collection to a point where you don't really need anything else, and you've got some really good pieces that will last you throughout the year and aren't like seasonal pieces and what have you, then I find like the need to buy home decor really kind of disappears. And it is very difficult. It's definitely easier said than done, because when I see something cute in a store, I definitely want to buy it. So it's definitely a practice of like my willpower in keeping away from those things, but I know that my budget is thankful for it. I also no longer buy McDonald's, which is actually something my boyfriend implemented into our lives. It was like one of his New Year's resolutions, and I kind of just followed suit. I think because the main reason why we would get McDonald's is if we were driving down to Bournemouth or back up to London, because we're from Bournemouth, we would always stop and get like a McDonald's coffee, still do that, but we would always end up like splurging, being like, oh, you know what, I fancy a McFlurry, or I fancy a chicken mayo, whatever it may be. And it's just something really easy that we can just cut out and say, you know what, I've bought some snacks from home, they're in the car ready for our road trip, we can still get a coffee, but just save a little bit of extra money on those trips, because we were going down maybe like once a month, and then there's like 2 trips to McDonald's each way, and then it adds up very quickly, and obviously it's not the best for you. So I can take a step back from my McDonald's order, still get my coffee, things are good. The next one is Ubers. Now don't get me wrong, I can still be tempted quite easily to get an Uber. If I'm on a night out with the girls, it's like, how late can you stay out now? Like 11 PM or something. 11 PM, I've been out since bottomless brunch, I'm feeling a bit boozy, and the girls say, do you want to get an Uber? And it's like £3 between us all. Yes, I'm getting an Uber. I'm not sitting on a bus for an hour or a tube or what have you. I would 100% get an Uber. But in terms of me just being lazy, being like, oh, I'm gonna go to my friend's house, which is a half an hour walk, I could just get an Uber. Nah, we're not doing that anymore, just because my bank account won't allow it, to be honest. And it's an easy place where I can cut down on my budget, because there are so many other options, especially living in London. I can get the bus, I can get a tube, I can get so many different bikes that they have now, Santander bikes, Lime bikes, whatever bike you fancy. I can walk, like I can even get like a freaking ferry if I wanted to go down the Thames, whatever it may be. I do not have to get an Uber, as easy and convenient as it is. So that's something I've been learning the hard way, but I've been pretty good. I kind of just like cut it cold turkey. Like I said, I can still be tempted. You'll probably still see me in an Uber every now and then, but I shan't be on my own in an Uber. The last one is just more of a general tip for money saving, which I wanted to include, and something that I no longer buy in 2021 is branded food. Now, if there is a thing that I can't really get a substitute for example, I really like Naked bars, like the pure fruit and nut bars that are just like compressed into a little bar of goodness. Tesco don't really do their own version of that, so I just buy the branded one. It is the most expensive thing I buy in my shop. They're like £2.50 for 4 bars. Everything else, I want to say, pretty much, is just Tesco own. I am not fancy by any means. I don't have standards in terms of my food. Like, as long as it fills me, it tastes good, it sustains me, I'm a happy gal. So I go around Tesco picking up all the Tesco brands, and I think my shop this week was like £25–30, somewhere around there. If you did want to see a grocery haul of what I've been buying recently, I could definitely do that for you. Let me know if that's something you would like to see. But it just saves you so much money, because quite a lot of the time Tesco will have like a club card price, or their unbranded price will be like half the price of the brand. And so that's a way very easily each week you can save like £10–15 depending on how much your shop is, and it can add up very, very quickly, and you still get a lot of good food for a lot less money, which everyone loves. I used to shop at Lidl again, which was a lot cheaper than Tesco, so definitely keep an eye out on where you shop. Be smart about where you shop. Right now Tesco is like the closest and convenient one for us, so I'm shopping at Tesco. I'm loving every second, and I'm buying all the unbranded foods. But yeah, they are just a few things that I am no longer buying in 2021, a way that I am able to afford my life here in London. I have a lot more tips like this, so if you do want a part 2, or you want to see more finance videos of how I managed to afford living here in London, please make sure you hit the thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe down below, because I post a new video every Sunday. I'm also doing a what I spend in a month throughout the month of June, so if you want to see that, stick around, hit that subscribe button, and hopefully I'll see you very soon. Bye!